Pixar. Definitely the best at making movies, animated movies. But still, they are pretty good at making actual movies. Their movies can stand up against real live action movies, which is always a good thing because a lot of animation companies make it look like animated movies are really just for children. But when you watch a Pixar or a Disney movie, you kind of just say, well, those movies might be for kids, but these ones are definitely for the family and adults mostly as well. Well, there are a few stinkers or a few that aren't great. Like, I don't hate any Pixar movies, but there are a few that just are kind of like a DreamWorks movie where it's like, it's alright, but like, it's not extraordinary. Kicking it off at number 18 is Cars 2 with a 5 out of 10. This movie wasn't necessarily bad, but Mater kind of ruined it by being that main character. He was kind of overkill. There's really no reason for him to be the big character in the movie. The spy part of the movie dragged on for too long. Some of the elements were good in the spy parts, but they just dragged on too long. If the movie was just stripped out the spy parts and it was just racing and there were more parts of the world that they went around, then it would have been a better movie, but the spy parts kind of ruined it. The worldwide parts were beautiful and amazing, but they kind of ruined it by doing all the spy stuff. Finn McMissile and Holly were actually pretty strong characters. I liked them. But their stories and what they had to do in the movie kind of ruined their reputation and kind of ruined this movie as a whole. Number 17 is A Good Dinosaur, which is a movie that I could say that was kind of like Pixar's after Inside Out. Like, this is just going to be a movie, a moneymaker that we can just get out over Thanksgiving and we'll just sell toys. Because it was pretty strong merchandise-wise, but, like, box office-wise, it did pretty bad. And also, I thought it was kind of a stale movie. Kind of looked like one of those DreamWorks movies. It's alright. I wouldn't be opposed to hating it. Like, I would be opposed to hating it because I kind of think the movie's alright. But 5.5 out of 10 for sure. Number 16, Brave. 5.6 out of 10. Brave was kind of that rip-off of a Disney movie and rip-off of a slapstick comedy DreamWorks movie. It was right in the middle of those. And, the movie story wasn't bad. It was a hard pill to swallow that your child's trying to poison her mom because she doesn't agree. It kind of felt like one of those forced feminism movies, which is something Pixar has left. Yes, empowering females has always been a good thing, but when you go overkill, you're going to scare away any people that aren't politically to the far left or SJWs, and that is why Brave didn't do as well as it could have. You could have gotten rid of those aspects of the movie that kind of made it bad. Like, it was a rebelling girl, it was just one of those rebelling girl stories where it was like she was rebelling against her parents. It's been seen a million times. Number 15 is Monsters University, a 6.5 out of 10. This is where the movies start to get decent. These are where the movies are kind of decent. Like, 15 and up, those movies are... 16 to 18, those movies are alright. But 15 down, those all are movies that are watchable. So, Monsters University, 6.5 out of 10. Monsters University was a disappointment, I would say. Didn't hate it. If it was its own standalone movie, and Monsters Inc. can come before, it would have been great. But the point, they made the universe feel stale. They kind of ruined the reputation of the first movie for me. Like, I can't watch the first movie without that mindset, that bad prequel. Well, not bad prequel, but that kind of disappointing sequel came before it. Which is kind of the sad part about it. Like, it kind of ruined my looks, my way of looking at Monsters Inc. It kind of moved it down my list a little bit. Which was bad, but like it was expected, like Pixar. These are your delicate franchises you have. You're making movies for these delicate franchises that need, like, The Incredibles 2 is coming out, and if they mess that up, like, that's going to be it for them making those sequels. No one's going to want to see their sequels anymore because they're going to be disappointing. Toy Story 4, hope it doesn't go down that path either. All I'm saying is that Pixar, if you're going to make sequels to these really good movies, do them right. Number 14, A Bug's Life. I didn't hate A Bug's Life. I actually gave it a 7 out of 10. I'd kind of like to go back and watch it a lot. But it was kind of one of those bottom of the list, bottom tier, lower tier Pixar movies. Because it kind of felt like they were still getting their bearings in after that big hit that was Toy Story. They were trying to find good stories and a good formula. And they kind of like lost it for a second with A Bug's Life. They kind of went downhill. And that's when people thought, oh, Pixar is like over now. But no, they were able to recover, but still, A Bug's Life, 7 out of 10. Number 13, Cars. Cars has never been known to be a great movie. I give it a 7.2 out of 10. But it's never been known to be a great movie. Like, people said it's a good movie for kids. And I like the movie. Don't get me wrong. Still lower tier Pixar movies. But I didn't love it. I did like it. Didn't love it. So, Cars could have done better. The story was kind of bad in the beginning. Kind of felt like it was going to be bad. But it kind of did recover by the end. But it was still kind of a big mess that nobody really wanted to deal with. And the point that there's been 3 sequels is kind of just like really bad. Now, you guys are going to be mad at me for this one, but my number 12 is The Incredibles, 7.9 out of 10. I can't get into this movie as much as people have. Like, I don't hate it. I actually kind of like it. But people saying it's a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, I just can't agree with them. I don't feel like it's that great of a movie. Now, can I watch it? Yes, it's watchable. And am I going to see The Incredibles 2? Yes, I'm going to see The Incredibles 2. But I didn't like The Incredibles as much as everybody else did. I thought it was kind of like, it was that kind of generic superhero movie with a family twist for family audiences. And there's nothing wrong with that because it was before superhero movies really became a big part of it. So there's a lot to thank The Incredibles for. It kind of started that revolution. But with The Incredibles 2 on the horizon, I kind of don't know if that's going to be amazing. I'm not going to think it's going to be amazing. I don't have that mentality about Pixar sequels anymore. I've been disappointed way too many times. Number 11, Toy Story 3. Again, gonna be mad at me for this one. I gave it an 8 out of 10. I didn't see how amazing it was. I did like it. It was kind of a tearjerker, but it's still. This is where the movies start getting all good for me. It starts getting hard to pick. 11 and down. I just can't get into it as much as everybody else did, but I did think it was a really good movie. I think the end, I didn't like the end. Some people thought it was amazing, but like, you're just handing your toys to this random stranger that really isn't going to appreciate them. It really wasn't as heartfelt as I thought it was going to be, and of course, I wanted a girl to start being the main kid of the movie, which I mean, I understand because they probably start getting attacked for like not having a girl be the central of the movies. But it's still, you're pushing the agenda a little bit too far. I want to see your stories. I don't want to hear your messages. Number 10, WALLE, 8.2 out of 10. WALLE was kind of a revolutionary movie. It kind of was that sci-fi kids movie, family movie that was as good as regular sci-fi movies and better than some. And it was just a really good movie all around. I only had a few issues with the movie, is that it kind of felt like you can't really watch the beginning and think that that's how the movie's going to go, because it just changes so much in the beginning. I've kind of watched it, like tried to watch it a few more times, and I kind of just have to shut it off after the beginning. Because like, about the first 20 minutes just gets so boring, and sometimes just forget about what happens in the middle of it. But when I do watch it through, I'm in for a pleasant surprise. But like, I can't get through those first 20 minutes. They're just kind of really boring. Number 9 is Finding Dory, which is a little bit high up my list. I gave an 8.3 out of 10. And was it disappointing? Semi-disappointing. It still did a better job than Monsters Inc. Monsters University on delivering a good follow-up to an already amazing movie. It was a better follow-up than Monsters University. Was it better than Nemo? Oh no, it wasn't. I felt that when I walked out of the theater, but when I went back to watch Nemo again, kind of was like, Dory isn't as good as Nemo. I thought the movie was better than Nemo when Finding Nemo. when I left the theater, but when I watched it a few more times when it came out on DVD and I watched it again in theaters, I kind of felt that it had that kind of like, it wasn't as good. It would probably have been like number 2 on my list if I was making this list a year ago. Number 8, Pixar's newest movie, Cars 3. Now, I went into the theater not thinking it was going to be good, but I was kind of astounded by how good they were able to make this movie. It wasn't terrible, and I was kind of glad that they didn't make it terrible. Like, I kind of thought that, yeah, in the beginning, kind of thought it was going to be bad, but it kind of pulled away from its bad beginning of the movie and kind of zoomed right past all that stuff. It was not Cars 2. It was the best out of the Cars franchise by far, and I can really appreciate the movie, and I can really appreciate how good the movie's score is, and how good the character design is, and how good, like, it was pretty heartfelt. It kind of, you could see that they're trying to push an agenda, but people really weren't into that part of the movie. Everybody was just like, no, this isn't going to be shoved in our face today. Which was a good thing, because Cruz Ramirez was not really a good female figure in the movie. She kind of formed as a inconvenience more than anything else, which is why she really shouldn't have represented female racing cars, because she just was kind of an inconvenience. She was kind of like a Mary Sue, where she just got everything right, and she got everything right even though she's only done it a few times, which I can't give you spoilers, but like that kind of made me mad at the end of the movie. You'll find out when you see it, and if you've seen it, you'll know what I'm talking about. Number 7 is Up. I gave that an 8.5 out of 10. The first 10 minutes, totally 10 out of 10. But it kind of just started going down. The climax is the beginning, which was a pretty bad thing if you look at it, because it kind of, when you walk out of the theater, the last part is what you remember, and you walk down remembering the first part. Was it in +7 and number 1 are top tier? But like, it was a pretty great movie. It kind of held up through the end, but it was kind of like running on fumes at the end. Like, it was just like, let's leave. I'll watch the first 10 minutes and then we'll leave. We'll go back and watch the first 10 minutes and then we'll leave. Which I think is a good and a bad thing. The first 10 minutes kind of were like, this is going to be the best Pixar movie of all time. And then you kind of watch the rest. Yeah, it's not the best, but it's not the worst. Number 6, Ratatouille. I kind of just, I gave that one a 8.8 out of 10. I kind of have a connection to Ratatouille. It was kind of like a movie I watched a lot when I was like a little bit younger. And like, I can't give it a ton of props. I mean, there's some parts that were kind of broken. Didn't like the beginning that much. But like, the formula of the movie, the ideas of the movie that they pushed were just amazing. And if you haven't seen Ratatouille, which I know a lot of people that are Pixar fans have not seen this movie, it's one of those movies that Pixar made, a really good one that not many people have seen. There's a good Dinosaur, which was not a good movie. But then there's this one that not many people have seen. And if you have not seen Ratatouille, you have to see it. Number 5 is Toy Story 2. I gave that a 9.1 out of 10. It was a great movie. It was like, it was kind of like, it kind of felt like direct-to-DVD, like, but it was direct-to-DVD in a good way. Like, it didn't feel like a huge-scale movie, which I kind of liked. It kind of felt more cozy, kind of felt more fun. It didn't feel like one of those movies that were, like, big and serious, went through a huge amount of, like, story time. It was just a comforting movie. It's kind of like the comfort food of Pixar. It's a good movie to watch with your bucket of popcorn and your bag of M&Ms on your couch. Now, is it the best Toy Story? No. Number 4, Monsters Inc. 9.4 out of 10. Monsters Inc. was kind of that hit that everybody was kind of like expecting to see when they first saw trailers. It looked extraordinary. It looked amazing, and like, it delivered on it all the way. Now, it was number 4 on my list. It probably would have been number 2 or number 1 if that Monsters University kind of tainted my views of the movie. Because, like, I don't know. Monsters Inc. gave me kind of bad taste. Monsters University gave me a bad taste in my mouth, which kind of led over to Monsters Inc. Number 3, the only modern Pixar movie in the top 5, Inside Out. Inside Out was amazing. I didn't go into the theater expecting it to be good. I went into the theater expecting a good popcorn movie that could maybe get into the top 10 of the Pixar movies list. But I completely got something else. I got a unique and fun experience that was heartfelt and tear-jerking all at the same time. And it really did show that you need sadness and you need emotion and you need happiness to live. You can't just have happiness and you can't just have sadness. You gotta have both. And you really can't. And you really can't debate with what the story is. Because, some of the moments felt kind of cheap in the movie. It kind of felt like they were going for adults in some of these parts, which, wasn't bad. It was a pretty quality movie. The characters were extremely funny. Like, Anger, 10 out of 10 character. And Sadness. I liked Sadness a lot, too. The only one I probably could say I didn't like was Joy, which is a lot of people's favorites. But, the movie was just so good. The Bing Bong part, that was the saddest thing ever. I kind of think it was sadder than the first 10 minutes of Up. But it was just the movie orchestrated so well. And I gave that a 9.8 out of 10. Which means that the top 2 are left. Number 2, Toy Story. 10 out of 10. The first 2 were the hardest to decide on. But Toy Story was just kind of the start of Pixar. They were kind of still getting their bearings in. Still trying to decide what their formula was going to be. Where this movie was kind of just threw it out there. And it was amazing. You can't debate on how good this movie is. It's a 10 out of 10 no matter if you liked it or if you didn't. It's a 10 out of 10. It started CGI and it raised the bar for it. The animation is actually still pretty decent to this day. Which I think is actually pretty good because it's been over 20 years since this came out, which is crazy. Wait, 20 years? Yeah, it's been over 20 years. It's been about 22 years. And it was kind of revolutionary. And that's why it's so high up. Now, the story itself had problems. But the characters, the design of the movie was just so good. It was kind of forgiving the story's small lacking. Number 1, Finding Nemo. Completely, no challenge in my book. 10 out of 10. Finding Nemo was just an all-around amazing movie. I don't know if there's any flaw that I can see in this movie, except for maybe... No, there's really no flaws in my eyes. Both sides, the A story and the B story, were both great. Unlike Finding Dory, where A story was good, B story was alright. Both of these A and B stories were great in the movie. You had the Marlin looking for Nemo, and then Nemo kind of waiting for Marlin kind of scenarios. It was great. Both of the characters and both of the A and B parts of the story were great. And when they met, it kind of met like pancakes and syrup. It was just a great combination. It didn't get awkward. Like a lot of movies, when the A and B storylines meet up, it gets awkward. This did not happen. So yeah, definitely Toy Story, Finding Nemo, number 1. Now, what were your favorite Pixar movies? And of course, if you disagree with me, put it in the comments, but be civil. These are just my opinions. You can put your opinions on in the comments too. I would like to see your lists. Thanks for watching, and have a nice day or night.